Hello, Oak class. This is a message from me to you. Hang on, I should say who I am. Who's this peering over my shoulder? There's a clue. Actually, you might even know because you haven't started reading my book yet. Woohoo! I was so excited when Mrs. Startup told me that she was going to read The Land of Roar to you. Now, I want to say the name of your school. I have practiced a few times. I keep getting it wrong, so I'm going to read it. Oak class at Chilthorne Doma Church School. I think I got it wrong then anyway. Your name sounds like it's come from a fantasy story. Your school name is absolutely fantastic. And I love where you live in Somerset. Gorgeous. I'd love to visit it more often than I do already. I've run away from myself. So I have had the most lovely message from Mrs. Startup. And she said to me that she has been reading The Land of Roar at home, ready to read it with you. And she's going to read it to you. And even better than that, a lot of teachers do read The Land of Roar to their classes. But not many of them make the clues that go with the book. But I think that Mrs. Startup has made you some very special clues. I wrote some of them. She's had to do some things too. And it's going to make reading the book so exciting. You are going to go on the most amazing adventure together into Roar. But before you begin, I thought I would tell you how I got the idea to write the story. So it all began when I was about your age. Now, I used to find writing really difficult. I loved reading. I would read anything, like the backs of shampoo bottles and posters during assembly. I really like reading, but I found writing really hard. I didn't think I'd become a writer, but actually I was doing everything I needed to become one. And the most important thing was making my imagination grow and grow by playing, by reading, by drawing. One of the games I played actually gave me the idea for The Land of Roar. I don't want to give too much away, but I am going to show you one picture. Okay, you see that? That is a folding camp bed. And you see the way the mattress bends in the middle, leaving a gap. I can't point at it because I haven't put my phone on a tripod. When I was little, I'll point it with my nose. No, that won't work. I was going to do it with my tongue, but that would just be revolting. So when I was little, about your age, I used to play in the attic with my cousins and we would dare each other to crawl through the folded mattress of the camp bed. Not very difficult, but it was. Because when my cousins, they were older than me and they'd go first. And when they were in the bed, they'd say things like, "There's something in the bed. There's something breathing. I felt it. It touched my face." That sort of thing. So by the time it was my turn to go in the bed, I'd be really scared and excited. What would be in the bed? And my heart would thump and I'd force myself to crawl inside. The darkness would wrap around me. And then my cousins would shake the bed and they'd take on a journey around the room because it was on wheels. But then they would do something much scarier, which was nothing at all. And the whole room would go totally silent. I'd go, "Emma, Kate, are you there?" Silence. Say, "Nick, just say something. I know you're there. Just say something so I know you're there." Total silence. And I would be convinced I wasn't in the attic anymore. And I didn't know where I'd be, but I was quite excited and scared at the same time. And I'd start to crawl and then my head would pop out in bright sunshine and I'd be in the attic with my cousins laughing at me. So when I grew up, I wrote these 3 books and everything I wished had happened to me, I put in these books. Now, I'm sorry if that might be one of the clues. I realise I might have given you a clue of the clues. Let me get comfier. But that's me telling it. So that's what gave me the idea for the book. And I hope you love reading Roar together as a class. I've actually got an extra little thing to ask you, Oak class. I don't say anywhere in any of the 3 books I've so far written about Roar about why the world, Arthur and Rose's world, is called Roar. Or maybe I should say why Rose and Arthur's world is called Roar. And I want to know, can Oak class work it out? There's one other thing I'm going to ask you to look out for. When I first wrote the book, there's a character called Mitch, who's a merwitch. Now, she's got a house, which is a bit stranger for a mermaid. Really, a mermaid should live in the sea. They've got tails. Okay, they swim. But when I first wrote the book, she had legs. Her top half was mermaid, her bottom half was witch, which basically made her like a human, to be honest. So just when my book was published, my editor said, "I think she should have a tail." And I thought, good idea, she should have a tail. But by this point, I'd given her a house, I'd given her a boat. And so that's why I had to come up with reasons why a mermaid would have a house and a boat. So hopefully they're convincing to you. I'm just taking a little look at it. I'm sitting next to my rabbits. My rabbit lives in a little room next to the room I work in. I've opened the door. He's not coming out yet. It's a shame. I wanted to show him to you. But I want to show you a couple of other things because I have heard that you love stories. You're a class who loves stories. Now, I love stories. So I want to show you a couple of my other books because not every book is right for every person. And sometimes as well, you might like being read certain books, but you might not want to read it yourself. But I do promise you that there is a book out there for everybody. So I've actually want to show you one of my favourites. It's not written by me. It's a book called Akisi, or is it a Kissy? I'm not sure. Maybe it's a Kissy actually. And this is a graphic novel. You might think of them as a cartoon book. And you can see it's lots and lots of pictures in there. I absolutely love this book. In fact, I love graphic novels so much that I wanted to write one of my own. And what I've been doing this afternoon is writing the next, oh, look at my terrible nail varnish. Oh, I am sorry, Miss Startup, sorry about that. I've been writing Stink, and this is a book I wrote. And one of the reasons I wrote this was I really wanted to write a book, especially for children, for students who actually like there to be loads and loads of pictures in their books. So they like all the text to be broken up with lots of pictures, okay? And I like comics so much that I actually made the main character draw comics, and I put some at the back of the book. There they are. I love doing this. That's what I've been doing this afternoon. I've been drawing. Look, my phone, it's so cold in here. My phone started to steam up. Sorry about that. It's giving me a nice misty sheen. But maybe, you know, I've written about dragons. I've also written about pirates, ghost pirates as it happens. And I don't think I'm ever going to stop making up stories. So my last question to you, I want to just turn it all the way back round to Raw. So when Arthur and Rose, when they crawl through the folding camp bed, I'm not going to say exactly what happens to them, but I want you to imagine you crawl through a folding camp bed. If you could go anywhere by crawling through that bed, and you'll be totally safe, it might be exciting, but you'll be totally safe. Where would you like to go? What would that world be like? Who would your friends be there? Would you have a superpower? Where would you live? What would you have? Mountains made out of ice cream, of snow? Would you have mountains made out of fire? Would there be dragons? If they breathed out, what would they breathe out? You can put anything in this world, but what would it be like? Would it be mounds of great big cushions that you could bounce around on? Would there be animals everywhere? Would there be polar bears you could ride around on? So if you could make anything happen in your world, what would your world be like? I would love to know what worlds you would invent. But in the meantime, have a wonderful adventure in Raw together. I have got one last word of advice. Watch out for dragons. Oh, and if you've got any questions, Mrs. Startup can send them to me and I can answer them later on. Okay, bye-bye.